Hello everyone, wherever you are and whenever you are watching. This is round 8 of 9 of the Mercedes-AMG Motorsport eRacing competition. And for this week, we head to one of my personal favourite tracks. It's a track which has so much good potential for racing in general. It's Spielberg in Austria, and as we've seen every week, there is sure to be good racing no matter where you look in the field. My name is James Kirk, and alongside me once again, it is Mr. Robert Wiesemuller. And Rob, it is crunch time now in the championship. Round 8 of 9. It's crazy to think that the calendar has flown by as quick as it has. Just this track and Hockenheimring to go before our final event, and still so many places in the championship up for grabs.
Yeah, so this season it really went by quickly. I think we followed the DTM calendar, and we're already at round 8 at the at Spielberg here in Austria. And of course the top 6 drivers, they will qualify for the final round at Hockenheimring at the DTM Final. So we've got one more race online actually coming up next week at Hockenheim, and then we've got the final on October 13th at Hockenheim, a live event where the top 6 of the eRacing competition will compete against the 6 DTM drivers of Mercedes-AMG. And of course we will stream that live as well on Facebook and on YouTube, so stay tuned for that. And it's getting exciting in the championship. Let's have a look here at the standings.
So as we can see, Jack Keithley, I think we covered this last time at the Nürburgring, didn't we? He is in. He's in the top 6. What he's doing here is effectively trying to assert dominance over the rest of the field, I think we can say for sure. He's here on pride's purpose only. Worrying times potentially for Julian Kunze there in second place. He's not here, but he's got a healthy points gap at the same time. So I think he'll just be hoping that his competitors around position 6, not maybe so much Kevin Sigi-Rebenak and Tim Hyneman. We're hoping that anyone below them will be scoring quite low. That will very much be the same case, however, for Florian Hasse, who did qualify for Spielberg, but so we hear, Rob, has unfortunately broken his wheel, which means that he won't be participating today.
Yeah, and for him that's bad news because he's only in 5th place, so Moritz Löhner and Nick Madsen in 7th and 8th position, they could gain some points here. If they get a really good result, then it could be interesting in the final round of the season. Of course, you get same point system as in the DTM, 25 points for a win. You get 18 points for 2nd place, 15 points for the 3rd place, and we've got only one race here per event.
And I think just quickly to go over as well, one man that we have missed there, Yaroslav Honzik. He had a bit of an anonymous event last time at the Nürburgring, but we're kind of expecting him to jump up into the top 5, aren't we? And especially after topping the practice session here today. The Czech driver is looking very, very good to help secure his chances. But I think the point that we're getting across here is that nobody is really even going to be safe going into the final round, Rob. You can try and fortify your position here at Spielberg, but at the Hockenheimring next week, it's open game.
Yeah, so only Jack Keithley is qualified. Everyone else still has to get good results here. Let's see what we've got coming up today. We're in the warm-up at the moment, and we've got the qualifying session 10 minutes. Just joined the qualifying session right now. Then we've got the race for 20 minutes. You can see the cars streaming out of the pit lane. Everyone wants to be the first one out. Yeah, and then 20-minute race session. Standing start. DRS is in use, so it should be really exciting.
Eager to get out there, and one man that I notice is just waiting and biding his time as our VIP driver for this round. We've been lucky enough to have Danny Junkadea for a couple of rounds, but today we are going to have a former Formula 1 driver joining our ranks, Mr. Carl Wendlinger, who drove for Sauber Mercedes at one point. He is a GT driver extraordinaire as well. Of course, he's working for Mercedes nowadays, but the Austrian at his home track, Rob, I'm sure he'll be looking to, as with all our VIP drivers, at least look to score some points and fly the flag for his country.
Yeah, cool to see him here at the event. Yeah, it's been a while since he's been in Formula 1. He drove in DTM as well, but most notably, of course, he drove in the GT championships, recently in the Mercedes-AMG as well. There he had most of his success, but he was really capable Formula 1 driver as well. So interesting to see how well he will do in this event.
Fascinating scenes actually just going over. I mean, you can see how close everyone is. One of the natures of the Spielberg track, of course, is that it's so short, and so, you know, you've got so little time to try and find yourself a space. That's what Honzik is trying to get here, with one guy ahead of him. It might potentially have been Madsen, actually, but just heading through Edge now. We're going to cover the 4.3 kilometer lap that the Austrian track provides for us. It's very simple, but it's the simplicity which is its beauty as well. A purple sector 1 for Honzik as we enter Remus corner up the hill. We're going to be at the highest point of the track now as we head down the back straight, and it's then another heavy braking zone. Turn 3, one of my favourite corner names of all time, this one, Schluss Gold. I just love the way that rolls off the tongue personally as we head through the little kink here before heading into turn 4, Rorge corner. And it's a double left-hander, this one, as we quickly head into turn 5, the Wirth curve. And it's straight on with a flick to the right, turn 6 there. That one is the only corner on this track not to have a name. I always feel a little bit sorry for it as we head into Rindt corner then. Turn 7 named after the incredibly successful Formula 1 driver, of course. The final corner of Mobile. And that is your lap at Red Bull Ring. So quick, so fast, so furious. And it's a quick lap time from Honzik as well, who goes straight to the top on a 1:23.0.
A good lap time. He was the only one actually in the pre-qualifying session who managed to get into the 22s. So that's a 23.0. That's a very, very good benchmark time on his first lap in the qualifying session here.
Of course, it wouldn't be a qualifying session without Jack Keithley and Tim
Carl
Hyneman. He's had a bit of an off, hasn't he? And I don't know how quite he's just that down at turn 4. Is that the double left-hander? It is a double left-hander. How did he end up like that? Even the most experienced of drivers getting caught out. Of course, Carl, 48 at this point. So he definitely should know his way around the track. I'm sure it was just a momentary lapse of concentration there to lose the car. But as I was saying, it's not really a qualifying session without Keithley and Hyneman being up the top there, 3rd and 4th. But a good showing here from Daniel Schorner as well, who's put himself up into P2. Only 1/10 of Honzik. Roman Ivanov, of course, keyboard and mouse warrior he is, rounding out the top 5. Still a lot of drivers still to put in a time though, and we've only got the best part of 6 minutes left.
Yeah, and it's good to see Tim Hyneman back here. Daniel Schön is currently on the purple first sector, so we keep the camera on him. But Tim Hyneman, he had a race ban in the last race because he drove a bit aggressively and you know, in quite a few races, so he had to sit out 1 race. And now he's back, and now he's right behind his longtime rival Keithley. Oh, as Hyneman improves into 2nd, just as we speak. So, yeah, interesting to see what Heineman's answer will be. He's, of course, the reigning champion here. Last year, when there was just 1 event, he won the Mercedes-AMG eRacing competition. Let's see where Schön can go with this lap. Goes into 3rd, but Kevin Rebernack goes into 2nd.
Nick Madsen's also put in a good lap. He's P5 and incredibly close, Rob. The top 5 all within 0.2 of a second. I love this track for that reason. There is little opportunity for you to gain time, but when you do find it, you jump places. And it was a good purple sector here from Kevin Siggy Rebernack. He goes for Kevin Siggy for short, by the way. So whenever we say Siggy's doing this or whatever, that's the reason why. But he's been held up here by the car ahead, and I don't think this is going to be a good lap overall, unfortunately. Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out who that was. I think... No. It is Moritz Löhner, actually. It is Moritz Löhner, who's only in 14th position. And Moritz, he really needs some points here. So 14th, that's not good enough. He won't be able to qualify for the final event if he qualifies that far back.
Well, he could have a spectacular race, to be fair.
Of course he could, but he's just making it very hard for him. On a green middle sector, actually a decent time in the middle sector, but you can see on the left side, on the tower there, that the times are extremely close.
To be fair, this should be a lot more competitive from Lerner. He was 1 second off. He should be a lot closer this time around. Where will this lap put him? There we go, that's better. P7, although, wow, look at that. Kevin Siggy he might have spent an entire lap behind Lerner, but that didn't stop him from posting the fastest time of all, a 1:22.875.
Probably used the slipstream, and it's always a thing, you know, do you need the slipstream or does the dirty air harm you? But on this track, the slipstream could be a massive factor. And he just showed it in the qualifying session. Whole lap of slipstream and Kevin Siggy-Revanak on provisional pole and the first driver in the 22s.
Of course, completely bypassed my mind, Rob. Of course, Kevin driving at his home track as well, and having followed his sim racing career very closely from his early days. Let me tell you, he is one to thrive at this track, and so it is no surprise that he's showing the pace now. I think Honzik is also in the 1:22s as well.
1:23.013 on my screen.
Oh,
so
right, okay, so it is
just outside of it.
Yeah.
Let's see Ivanov coming across the line. The line's pretty far back here, but he doesn't improve.
It's a shame they're a poor final sector. And actually, another name which I completely missed there, Ismail Yakubu up in P3.
Oh, Keithley on pole.
Yep, it was P3 until he was demoted down to P4. Jack Keithley with an outstanding time there. Is that a 6.79 I see, or is it an 8.79?
It's an 8.79.
8.79, there we go. So just about edging out Siggy by 1/10 of a second. That is a marker.
Yeah, great time from Jack Keithley, and once again Jack Keithley on pole position. He's dominated this championship so far. Tim Hyneman coming across the line now. See where he is.
Oh, well.
Pole position.
It's the old story once again, isn't it? And only 0.03 of a second separating the top two as well. Can the likes of Siggy or Honzik respond though? They've shown good pace already. I imagine they might be able to find something, although look at this, Jack Keithley already on another good lap, another purple sector 1, another purple sector 2. When will the hot streak end as Daniel Shun there puts in another good sector time there? He's up into P3, Daniel, so the time's continually falling here at Spielberg.
And Jack Keithley, will he continue his pole position streak here? Goes over the curb. You have to be really careful on these curves because they can really unsettle your car. Coming up to the line. I think this might be pole position. Looked like a very clean final sector. Oh, it's not. He couldn't improve.
Wow, that is a big drop off as well. He
won't get another time. Oh, there's one driver off. Just ahead of him.
I think that might be Vendinger, potentially.
Could have been Schön as well. But yeah, no further improvements possible for Jack Keithley.
Yeah,
he can't finish this lap. But Ismail Yakubu, he might improve, but that second sector doesn't really seem good enough. But Kevin Siggy-Revanak, he improved into third position.
Oh, so he's merely fortified his time, though. He's not able to overtake anyone ahead of him. Actually, no, yeah, you're right. My apologies. He's ahead of Shun now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Debut, we believe here. Manuel Zengaffinen. I apologise if I butchered your name there, Manuel. But a very impressive debut here from the Swiss, who's into the top 10 and ahead of some established names.
Yeah, we've got a couple of debutants this time. Ralf Pieringer, he's another one in 16th position at the moment, the driver of MRP Racing. And we've also got Sascha Gemeinhardt, who's standing in the pit lane already as the qualifying session comes to an end, and no one currently is on an improvement. So that means pole position for Tim Hyneman.
Yeah, so 0.06 of a second separating the top three at the end of it, but it's those small margins that make the difference. Hyneman from Keithley, from Siggy, that is effectively your top four in the championship, minus Kuntzer, of course, who isn't here today. A good effort here from Shun, Honzik and Lerner, all of which are looking to jump Hassa in the standings. It is promising to be a very good one, Rob. Plenty on the line.
Yeah, it should get really interesting here in the race. And I think in terms of the racing, we can expect here this could be the best race of the season, because you just have such a big slipstream effect, and you have the DRS, of course. And you have several good overtaking opportunities here on the circuit. Let's hope Keithley and Hyneman keep it clean amongst themselves. We've seen a little bit of contact already this season at Zandvoort, especially between these two drivers. But I mean, they're not only fighting for the position at the final, they're also fighting for the pride. Who's the fastest e-racer?
And of course, Keithley has nothing to lose either, so he won't mind so much if he goes for a spin with a risky move. He's already through, effectively.
Yeah. Cars lining up on the grid. We're waiting here for Roman Ivanov to join the grid, and there we go.
So 20 minutes ahead of us at the 4.3 kilometer Spielberg circuit. The lights come on, the engine revs rise, and we are racing here. This morning for the first time, it's Hyneman moving into first position. Keithley holding off Kevin Siggy-Rebenak with Shun, and Lerner making a good start. Everyone actually getting through there relatively nicely.
I think Gaffinen had a little bit off and off, but Keithley, he has to... Let's take a look what happens to Keithley. He's right behind Hyneman already.
Going for a move already around the outside of Remus. That's a bold one. Although Hyneman is able to keep it out. Yeah, it was very much just Gaffinen who was the main loser out of there. Wendlinger with a slow start. But look at the top three already. Rushing away from the pack. Look at
contact!
Wow, contact already! Between Hyneman and Keithley, the handbags are out. And surely Siggy's just going to be waiting behind and saying, I'll let you two fight. I'll pick up the pieces afterwards, thank you.
Daniel Schön had a good start in 4th position, managed to keep his position. And Moritz Lerner in 6th place. He's doing what he needs to do if he wants to secure a place at the final.
Goodness, it is very much just the top three pulling away, aren't they? It's almost like they're in a different tier to everyone else.
Someone's off in the background. That's Lerner.
Oh, that is a big disappointment for Moritz Lerner here, who needed a good result, and he has now been relegated down to the back of the pack, barring Wendlinger. Massive issue.
Yeah, and that's very bad news for Moritz Lerner. We couldn't see, unfortunately, what happened to him, but yeah, that's very hard to recover from this. But let's see what the front is doing here. Tim Hyneman, now he has to defend against Keithley, and Keithley should have the DRS, I think.
Top 5 at the end of lap 1. Hyneman, Keithley, Siggy, Shun and Honzik, although that order is looking to change very soon indeed, as out on the outside goes Jack Keithley. Around the outside of Remus he goes once again, but once again Hyneman shuffles him out. I think he's going to have to change tactic if he wants to get past the German this early in the race.
All behind them, side by side, Schön in the silver car with the number 2 and Honzik. Schön.
Yeah, Honzik has had a
Schön!
Oversteering. Oh, that was a little bit of defensiveness from Schön, who surely that is dangerous driving. He might have to have a little visit to the stewards after that, because that was an extremely dangerous and irresponsible move. At the end of it all, thankfully, everyone got through. Honzik, Madsen, Ivanov, Shihan all benefiting. But that is another driver who needs another good result down the bottom of the pack now.
Yeah, and Emre Cihan in 7th position. We have just seen him in 1 race so far at the Norris Ring. He's really benefiting here from the mistakes. Yakubu was shuffled back as he tried to avoid Daniel Schön, but Yakubu is straight trying to make the position up again.
Yeah, Yakubu had a really good outing last time at the Nürburgring as well, so he's looking to prove himself, and a little look on the inside of the Turkish driver. Not going to work out this time, but DRS now in effect, of course. So for a lot of these drives, it's going to be a chance to look to make up some places, as is the case
at the front, Keithley on the outside again.
Yeah, it's not going to work. Maybe we can have a little look back at Piringer here, who's looking to move through on Yakubu. He might very well have moved through on Yakubu. Yes, he has, and well, Ralph Piringer, who was starting near the back of the grid, up into 8th position. A great race so far from the German.
Yeah, very nice debut from him here. But now he has to defend, and Yakubu has the inside, breaks a little bit later. Just gets it stopped, but Piringer has the inside, and that's the beauty of this track. Piringer through again.
Nice, calm and collected move, although, wow, Yakubu with a launched move down Rauch, and he's made it sick as well. Excellent cutback and opportunistic move from the Brit. He really put his name on the field last time at the Nürburgring, and showing his stuff once again. As we're on board now with Georgios Zanatos, the Greek driver, down in 10th position. He's just watching brief on this battle. Not really been his sort of a season, Georgios, so surely just scoring a point will be something here today. He's a good second or so ahead of Gemeinhardt behind, another debutant, and I'm sure he'd like to keep it that way.
Yeah, Georgios Zanatos, he was a finalist last time in the eRacing Trophy, but this season he hasn't really had so much luck. He missed quite a few races actually, and Hyneman has to defend against Keithley for the lead. He on the outside again, but he's going too deep and always manages to get the car back in, so there's no real opportunity for Siggy to benefit.
And once again, here comes the slipstream, but Hyneman holding that defensive line once again. And into the braking zone, once again, Hyneman holds it nicely. He's going to have to force something, Keithley, isn't he? Or try and force Hyneman into a mistake. This is possibly the biggest overlap he's had going into turn 4, mind you. But then again, it's turn 4 where once you're on the outside, you're going to be hung out to dry. And yet again, Hyneman holds the lead.
Hyneman is doing a very good job with his defensive lines here, but we've seen it all season long, that Hyneman's driving style, it's very oversteering and it's very demanding on the rear tires. So in the first half of the race, Hyneman is usually the fastest driver on the whole grid, but in the second half of the race, it gets a little bit more difficult for him, and Jack Keithley is probably waiting for this.
Back in the midfield, by the way, Yakubu, who's made his way back past Piringa, back into P8, so it's not just them two, is it? It's pretty much... is that Ivanov down?
Oh, Keithley!
Keithley! Wow! That was a massive move up the inside, and Siggy rightfully saying, I'll stay clear of that, thank you, although now might be his time to strike. Keithley, severely on the back foot. Everyone, mind you, he's got DRS to defend, doesn't he? And once again, launching up the inside. Wow, he is desperate to get through on Hyneman, and here comes Siggy now. Looking to capitalize massively, and it's Hyneman.
Oh, Hyneman's closing the door on the straight, putting Siggy onto the grass. And I think Hyneman was just pushed out of the way by Keithley there.
I think he was, yeah. It looked like contact, didn't it? Either way, it's during this point anyway, before any stewards can get involved, it is Keithley who leads. And now it's Kevin Siggy who's on the back foot with Honzik and Madsen all over his rear wing. He'll be looking just to consolidate that position for now, as flares heat up once again between Keithley and Hyneman. It's been the rivalry very much to define this season. It has kicked off at times before, and you just hope that things don't escalate even further today.
Hyneman is looking menacing.
Is this a statement from Keithley, Rob, do you reckon, saying...
I don't know why he would do the statement. I don't know why he would do that. I mean, leading the championship, he's got 120 points. I think Hyneman is at 66. So he's well clear of Hyneman. I don't know why he's trying to do that so aggressively.
It's almost like being a bully for the sake of it. And, well, I don't know whether he's looking to achieve anything, but I tell you what this has achieved. It was a three-way battle for the lead. It's now a five-way battle for the leaders. A little kiss from Hyneman on the rear of Keithley. But look at that, Honzik and Madsen now with as much chance of winning this race as anybody. It may not be the cleanest of events, but for us, the spectator, Rob, this is possibly as good as it can get.
Yeah, so let's see what Jack Keithley can do to keep his lead here. He's got this army of pink cars behind him. Hyneman with the number 46. Then Kevin Siggy-Revanak and Yaroslav Honzik. And the thing about Madsen is, I mean, he's in 5th place, that's a good position. But all of his rivals, all of the people that are ahead of him in the championship are also ahead of him in this race. So he isn't really gaining any points. He's gaining a few on Hassel, of course, but it's not quite enough. So maybe he can get a few positions.
We're going to stick with this battle since anything could kick off at any moment, really. But just to give you a little update on what's going on in that battle for the lower half of the top 10. Piringa up to 7th. There's been a bit of a change around. Shihan, the real loser out of this scrap. The Turkish driver now down to P10 with everyone ahead of him benefiting. So it is still open season for points in the lower half of the table. It could all kick off down there as well. Oh my goodness me, is that Shihan with another weird moment?
It was Lerner.
It was Lerner, my apologies. So plenty going on down there, but back up to the front then, and Keithley's been under attack once again by Hyneman. DRS now in effect. Jack Keithley, the only person out of the top 5 not to have DRS in this particular section of the track. Hyneman breaks late. He's going to try and go fully around the outside of Schloss Gold. Contact once again. And Hyneman's been held up massively here. Siggy looking to benefit here. On the inside of Hyneman into launch corner. Surely it's not going to work. Here comes Honzik around the outside of turn 4. What a great move that was. And surely 3 towards not going to work. Kevin Siggy, smart driving. He's backed out and said, oh, Madsen! He loses it, but there's so much of a gap to the back half of the top 10 that he may be able to get it going. Although it wasn't quick enough, he's going to lose even more positions here. Down to 9th. Is he going to be down to 10th potentially as well? Yes, he is maybe even 11th. Oh, no, he's just going to stay inside the top 10. A real costly mistake there from Madsen as Sheehan goes into battle with Zen Gaffinen. But, well, that really did kick off, didn't it? Kevin Sigge with some smart driving just to say, okay, I am backing out of this. He remains in P4. Honzik, the big benefactor there. He's onto the podium.
Oh, and side by side again, Hyneman on the inside and number 22, that's Honzik. Hyneman sideways, how could he keep that car on the road?
We've got just about half of this race left, Rob. I don't know how it's going to get more exciting. You could go up into 6th, by the way. There's still plenty of battling down in the midfield as Hyneman holds off Honzik for another corner. And Kevin Sigge, his, well, you could call it a conservative attitude. I'm just thinking it's more of a safe attitude more than anything. It might prove dividends at the end of this race as Madsen instantly gaining a lot of positions there. Looks like
there's been a big accident.
Piringer involved. Xanatos involved as well.
Yeah, the car was off the track there.
And so Madsen gains position. Lerner down to 9th. Sheehan back up into 8th. Zen Gaffinger is up into 7th.
He was off the road as well before.
The Swiss driver massively benefiting, and Yakubu now 4 seconds clear with Ivanov. So, and actually onto the back of Ivanov, so there could still be a top 5 for Yakubu.
Sideways once again, but Honzik is attacking Hyneman again. Honzik on the inside, Hyneman slots in before him.
Well, this race has certainly provided action, that's for sure. How clean it is will be, I think, one to look over in retrospect, perhaps, as here comes Kevin Sigge now on the inside of Yaroslav Honzik. He's trying to use his battle with Hyneman to his advantage, but Honzik holds on yet again. It seems to be a consistent theme here now as Madsen, what's happened to him? He's down to P12. He must have had another off at turn 1. He needs to get a move on.
Daniel Schön back in the points after his big accident already.
Oh,
silver car there in the middle.
Big championship implications here as Ivanov and Yakubu down the inside of Ivanov, and that was a decisive move. Ismail Yakubu is up to P5.
Changing positions the whole time. Madsen down to 15th, and I think Madsen is out.
Oh dear. It has been a horror show for the Danish driver, and that looks like a retirement if ever I've seen one. What a shame.
I don't think he can get going there again. Probably picked up some damage when he hit the wall. Let's go back to the front. With 7 minutes and 20 seconds to go, it's Jack Keithley who's leading the race ahead of Tim Hyneman, who's still well in the DRS window and who's also dropped Yaroslav Honzik a little bit. Honzik in 3rd, Sigge in 4th. And I think the way Sigge has been driving, he's just willing to qualify here for the final event. He doesn't want to risk anything, just wants to take the position. But Keithley and Hyneman, that's a different story.
This is as quiet as the top 4 has been in a long time. And actually, we could be coming up here to lap Carl Bendinger, who has also had a bit of a horror show as Jack Keithley there really losing it on the edge. Good back marking there from Carl.
Yeah, but, just moves out of the way. Of course, he doesn't have enough preparation here to really compete with these drivers who've practiced for days online for these events. But he gets out of the way safely, and now the battle for the lead is on.
And yeah, it wasn't quiet for long, was it? Tim Hyneman instantly on the attack once again. He's got 6.5 minutes. Try and make something happen here. Oh! Something happened, but in the wrong way. He taps the back of Keithley, who stays in the lead. And, well, once again, it's reintroduced Honzik and Sigge to the equation.
Honzik, he's still looking for his first win. The other two, they are the 2 race winners of the season.
Yeah, oh, this
I think Keithley has been a bit naughty to Hyneman. Oh, as Madsen got his car going again, is now turning into the pit lane. And I think this was just Hyneman telling Keithley, you know, you can't do that with me. Just one tap, and now back to, back to 0 again. Forecast battling once again like in the beginning of the race, just as if nothing has happened.
It just seems like 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, though, Rob. It just seems a little unnecessary, given that, A, Hyneman still needs points to qualify, and Keithley doesn't need to be doing this. He can battle for pride, sure, but does he really need to be aggressive? I mean, that was a good bit of defending, and Hyneman was just in contact on the overspeed, but it almost seems a bit petty.
Gaffinen up to 6th position, meanwhile. Drops the position again against Ivanov.
Ivanov was really lost a lot of momentum here. As
we have to watch the battle here. We have to watch the train of pink cars with the VWT cars here. And it seems like every time Hyneman is trying a move, Keithley is kind of backing him up, and then Hyneman falls into the clutches of Honzik.
It is really edgy. I'll say that much. It's scatty almost. You can't let your guard down for a minute, or else you will end up in the wall. Jack Keithley with a bit of respite here as he heads into Lindt for what will be one of the final rotations of this circuit. Hyneman desperate to get a win. I'm sure Honzik and Siggy will be as well, but maybe not to the same extent. There is bad blood between Tim and Jack, that is for sure. Whenever they both get in a race car, whenever they're on the same part of the track,
oh, Hyneman,
fireworks. Oh. That is a mistake from Tim there, and this might allow Yaroslav Honzik the opportunity that he's been waiting for. Oh, that's a really late swerve to the inside of the track here from Tim Hyneman. Will Honzik look on the inside? No, he's just going to stay behind and let Hyneman do what he wants, although another slide.
How is he still on the road? It's crazy how he always manages to save his car here. Lerner up into 8th position meanwhile. And Hyneman and Keithley, I don't think that's over. Jihan now into 7th. Let's... Oh,
yeah, that's Zengaffin around, unfortunately. And he's out of the points. After such a good recovery drive, he's out, unfortunately. And so now that top... From 7th down to 10th, this Lerner, Jihan, Schoen, and Piringer back into the top 10, although you really cannot keep your eyes off this. I'm keeping an eye on the time, Rob. I imagine we're probably going to get 3 more laps, surely.
Let's see when they cross the line. I think it will be... Yeah, math is not my strongest subject, so I think it will be 2 more laps.
So. I think 2 or 3.
We will see.
We will see. And once again, this is probably as quiet as it has been. Just...
That could be really close. I think it might be 3, actually.
We'll see. We'll see. Into turn 1 we go once again. With the top 4, it has been incredibly close all race long. Maybe not as clean as we would like, but it's been entertaining nonetheless. Tim Hyneman with the DRS. He goes to the outside. Keithley goes ultra defensive. Hyneman looking to get the cutback. Oh, wow, almost mounting the curb to try and get the undercut. It has not worked out for the German. And this will allow another little sniff from Yaroslav Honzik to try and make some impression. The Czech driver goes to the outside of Schlossgold here. Hyneman on the outside. Honzik with a really good bit of overspeed, but it's not going to work. Hyneman shuffles him out to the outside once again. He says, no, Keithley is mine. And he's dynamically trying to make any way past the British driver, but the British driver does not budge. He's putting his car in all the right places.
The rivalry between Keithley and Hyneman is really interesting because they're actually quite similar drivers. They both never leave the other car a lot of space when they try to go around the outside. It's always very close. It's always on the edge of, you know, just being legal. Peering up to 7th. So something must have happened there once again.
Yeah,
Lerner dropping back.
And Jihan by the looks of it, unfortunately. So that means Gemeinhardt's actually up into the top 10. We will have 2 more laps though, including this one. Keithley still holding on. I've noticed with this particular shot, he just seems to have a better exit out of turn 1, Rob. And this means that there's a lot of catching up for the 3 behind him to do. Into the braking zone. That's a very late braking maneuver from Tim Hyneman, who's looking to go clean around the outside. He goes off the track, and he doesn't take first, but he is able to stay in the hunt here.
He's got the DRS open right now.
Oh, that's a controversial move.
Oh, contact!
Contact! And that allows Yaroslav Honzik to take the lead. That is the opportunity he has been waiting for. Kevin Siggy slips through as well. Tim Hyneman finds himself in the split. He's down in P3. And, well, that one was coming, Rob, but I reckon that Hyneman was the architect of his own downfall. He should not have been battling for that position. It was an illegal advantage.
But at the same time, what does Keithley, you know, why is he fighting him so hard? I mean, he could pick up enough penalty points to actually get a ban. And then it will be all over for him. And the way they've been racing here, I think, it's just, you know, they kind of forgot about it. They kind of forgot about what's at stake here. And now they both have their race ruined pretty much.
Well, this could not have happened at a better time for Yaroslav Honzik. He had, as I said, an anonymous round last time at the Nürburgring. He's been on the podium before. I know he has been incredibly eager to take his first race win of the season. Of course, not many chances left to do it now. There's this race and the next race. The final as well, maybe, but that's about it. And Kevin Siggy, of course, at his home track, he goes for the late braking maneuver, and he comes almost into contact with Honzik. He almost let himself open to attack from Keithley there, but he was just about able to keep it ahead of the Brit. He knows that his opportunities to take the win himself are running out, and there's a late move there from Jack Keithley. He saw the door open, and he's taken it as well. Oh, it was just a little bit too open there, Siggy, and he's allowed a lethal driver like Keithley through. They all take their opportunities when they come, and so it looks like Siggy is going to be just doomed to sit in that final podium slot. It's only a couple of corners left, though, for Yaroslav Honzik, the Czech driver. He's been on an upwards trend. As I say, Nürburgring very much the only downwards seemingly spiral that he's been on all season long. He rounds the final corner, though, and it may have taken a clash from the front two for him to take it, but he has got it. His first race win of the season, Yaroslav Honzik from Jack Keithley and Kevin Siggy. We will wait to see the repercussions, however, of that clash between Keithley and Hyneman. Hyneman Yakubu comes home in P5, with Roman Ivanov taking P6. Daniel Shun, not the best of rounds, but considering what it could have been, I think he'll take P7, with Ralph Piringer taking points on his debut in P8. The same for Manuel Zengaffinen, who takes P9, and Shihan there, the Turkish driver, taking the final point in P10. Moritz Lerner and Nick Madsen will be very disappointed indeed. No points for them, but let us sing our plaudits for Honzik at least, Rob. He stayed safe, he stayed quick, he stayed consistent, and he was rewarded handsomely for it.
Yeah, great performance here by Yaroslav Honzik, and a very well-deserved win. He's only the third driver this season to win a race after Keithley and Hyneman. And yeah, what a nice way to take a win. But, you know, this race, it was a bit messy, wasn't it?
It was, yes. It was unnecessarily messy as well, and as I say, I would not be surprised to see the stewards getting involved in some manner. Post-racer retirements, of course, Richtermeier and Madsen, the big one really. Bedlinger finishing a lap down on everyone else, but I think again that's as you said, Rob, it was down to lack of preparation time really, as is usually the case for our VIP drivers, unfortunately. Xanatos will probably be a little bit disappointed not to score a point, but as I say, the big one there, Madsen, he may very well be out of a realistic shot of taking a top 6 position for that final event in what is a few weeks' time. It's a quick fire, the end of our season. Of course, in a week's time, we're heading back to the Hockenheimring, but there's a final confirmation of your results. Honzik from Keithley, from Kevin Siggy, Tim Hyneman with the fastest lap. We'll be back after these messages. So, welcome back to what has been, we'll call it an explosive event at Spielberg. Certainly lots to cover, and there may yet be repercussions, so keep an eye next week for the full update on what's happening, because I've been informed by people who know better than me that there yet could be massive repercussions, bigger than any of us first expected. For now, though, we are going to get the the reactions of the drivers on the podium, at least there, just to remind you, in a week's time. That is when the Hockenheimring final event of the main season, at least, turns around. So be sure to turn up for that. But yes, interviews. We should move on and get some reaction here. Jack Keithley, Yaroslav Honzik, and Kevin Siggy, all with something to say, apparently. And how does that not surprise me? We're just going to have Rob making sure that everyone knows what's going on, and, you know, just to keep it cool, because I'm sure that there may well be some hotheads. And we will start then with race winner, only the third race winner of the season, Yaroslav Honzik. It wasn't by outright pace, Yaroslav, but I guess you'll take a win no matter how it came.
Oh my God, guys, that was a race.
It was, yes.
That was, I don't want to be rude, but that was a really insane race to the last second, from start to finish.
It seemed like your biggest moment really came from that turn 2 defense of Kevin Siggy. But, oh, wow, what was going through your mind when Jack and Tim came into contact? You must have been laughing in your race seat.
Well, honestly, no, because I was expecting something to happen because, you know, all season long, Tim and Jack, they have like really rough situations on the track, and I've been like 3-4 times side by side with Tim, and he was really pushing to the edge, and I was just waiting for my moment, and yeah, it came down on that third corner, and was really crazy. Yeah.
I kind of theorized that you and Kevin were just holding back and staying safe, because you could see that something was going to kick off. But at the end, a race win. Is that objective achieved, Yaroslav? I mean, you've gained some good points, the best amount of points you could possibly get in the standings now, and barring any major like catastrophes in the next round, fingers crossed, you should be into the final. Oh, apparently you are confirmed to be in the final.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an achievement. I was just really hoping for at least one race win during this season, and in the previous races I was struggling sometimes. I had some like bad qualifications and then some contacts during the start, and it was similar this time around, because in the qualifying, in my fastest lap, I met Karl Wendlinger, and he just didn't leave me any space or something, because he was really slow and I couldn't make it for the pole position. And after the start, I had some contact with Daniel Sean on the second lap, and I was really not happy about it. And then when I see guys in front of me just doing what they did, I was just really focusing on the end, and I couldn't be happier. I'm really happy.
You know what? You can sense it, and I think I speak on behalf of myself, all the broadcast team, and all the audience for saying we're happy for you as well. I think you're definitely one of the most positive drivers on the grid, Yaroslav, and you deserve this win, certainly. Another one for the Hockenheimring, just to round out your season, maybe?
That would be just amazing, James. Thank you very much, and thank you anyone in Mercedes and Race Room and Trustmaster, my sponsor, and everyone. Really thank you, and all the fans and my girlfriend for supporting me.
I'm genuinely chuffed for you, Yaroslav. You go and have a nice beer or something. Go celebrate. Enjoy the win.
Probably a shower.
That's a good idea as well, potentially. Cheers for your time, Yaroslav. And oh man, I'm delighted for him. We're hopefully going to have now Jack or Kevin, I imagine. All right, Jack Keithley, a P2. But that was interesting, to say the least. A bit of contact, a bit of fisticuffs. I imagine P2 is as good a damage limitation as you could get, probably.
Pretty much. I mean, coming into this, I knew whether Tim would have been there or not. I knew this was going to end up being a 3, 4, 5 car train for the lead. But yeah, I'm not entirely surprised with how that ended, to be honest.
There is the train of thought that potentially says, you know, what's the thinking behind racing so hard? You're already qualified for the final. Was this just like the racer's instinct? You want to make sure, like, you know, you are the man on, you know, on top with as big as points gap as possible. I think it's just, you know, a lot of people are asking, why race so hard? You know, what's in it for you?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, Yeah, I've already qualified, but it's still a race I've qualified for, and it's a race I still want to win just as much as the previous races. And I just want to say, about the incident with Tim, I felt that under braking, just before we braked, he left exactly a car's width on the inside, and then as we braked, he started to come across when he was fully clear, and yeah, that's my side of the story on that.
To be fair, Jack, I think for all of us, the incident happened so fast that you can't really make any definitive decisions on what happened and such. I mean, like you say, in the heat of a moment, you never know whether someone's coming across you, whether someone's going for a late break. Ultimately, it will be for neither us, to decide. It's up to the stewards, of course, and I'm sure that they will come up with the right decision. But it is fascinating, really, and it kind of sums up the season, doesn't it? Like, it's been all about this rivalry between yourself and Tim, and I think you, as much as him, kind of just regrets that it's always ended up in this sort of a manner.
Pretty much, but me and Tim spoke after Zandvoort, and despite my problems with cars blinking around and all that, we both accept that kind of racing is just hard racing, and I don't like how it ended. I wouldn't like that with anyone, but that's just the mentality I have of just like, I want to win, and I guess Tim's exactly the same.
And I think a lot of people respect that. I think that it wouldn't be any fun, certainly, if nobody wanted to win and nobody wanted to fight for that. So I think, as I say, a lot of people respect you for it. And for the very least, it was entertaining for us in the audience to watch. So congratulations on your podium anyway. As I say, good damage limitation considering. And thank you very much for your time, Jack.
Thank you very much. I shall say, well done, Yaroslav, on the win for picking up the scraps at the end.
And just to round off our interviews then, we have Kevin Siggy. Now, home track, Kevin, I know that you go well round here, and I imagine that your eyes must have lit up when you saw Tim and Jack coming into contact. You were still behind Yaroslav, though, and you did go for that little bit of a move into turn 2 on the final lap, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately.
No, it wasn't enough. I was expecting to be in P3 anyways, but seeing the fight unfold between Tim and Jack, I knew that it was going to be a crash, because whenever Tim is around in a fight, there is going to be a crash, and I expected that, so I had to lay low and be behind them all the time, not just don't be fighting, because I know I'm either going to spin or crash out. So I had to lay low, stay behind them, and just pick up the rest.
I definitely saw that. Your driving was passive, to say the least. They're very Kevin Siggy-like. But good news for you, at least, is your safety has paid off. You're now 100% confirmed to have qualified for the final event live at the Hockenheimring, the DTM Final. You must be delighted with that result.
Well, of course I am. I'm very happy because, I mean, I was driving well. I wasn't driving at my fullest because I had to lay low. I just wasn't feeling right fighting, and I didn't want to concede any penalties or anything else, so I was just playing it safe. I had even some support from my family as well at home. They were just about watching the broadcast today, and yeah, I mean, I think it paid off being safe enough, because finishing in second position in the points and be qualifying in it, it's a great experience, and I'm very proud of myself.
As you should be, and I know how much support that you do get from your family, and to have it pay off like this. I mean, how much of an honor is it to go out to Germany? I guess it's only really a short trip over for you personally, but to get to face up against real life Mercedes DTM drivers, I mean, surely it's going to be one of the greatest tests that you've faced as an eRacing driver so far.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be like my best experience ever in my career. So yeah, I hope, fingers crossed, I do well there, and I hope even my family can come there and support me even more. So yeah, we'll see.
I'm sure that you're going to do yourself and the eRacing community plenty of justice, Kevin. It's been a pleasure seeing you progress in your career, and we can only hope that things go well. And of course, you've got the final event of the main season next week at Hockenheimring as well. So maybe a win potentially.
Maybe. I mean,
Maybe.
yeah, I have my wishes.
I'm sure you'll try your best anyway, as you always do. Thank you so much for your time, Kevin, and congratulations on yet another podium. And well, that just about wraps up proceedings for us, Rob. There's going to be a lot of talking after this one, I imagine, but a lot of that talking, and I guess the fallout from which we will cover in just a week's time at the Hockenheimring, the final round of 9 before our big live event at the DTM Final. I really don't. I'm speechless.
Yeah, I think Spielberg didn't disappoint.
No, absolutely.
Very close racing, a lot of incidents also in the mid-pack, a lot of, just the position changes in the midfield. We followed Manuel Zengafinen for a while. He was like last, and then he was back in the top 10, and then he dropped out of the top 10. He was back in again, and you could just see these position changes all the way through the field. And in the end, it's 2 drivers that are that have driven really conservatively in the whole race, Yaroslav Honzik and Kevin Siggy, that are now 100% confirmed to have qualified for the final race. We will get the full list of people who are qualified next time. I think Tim Hyneman should have also scored enough points, but of course we will have to wait and see what the stewards say about this one. And Julian Kunze and Florian Hassel, it actually is looking pretty good for them as well. But maybe there will be a miracle at the final race of the online season, so you should definitely tune in again next time, in 1 week's time at the Hockenheimring.
Yeah, indeed. Be there or be square. And if there's anything which we've learned today, it's the old adage, isn't it? In order to finish first you must finish without crashing. Just adding that little bit on the end there. Thank you so much to my co-commentator, Mr. Robert Wiesemuller, the font of knowledge that he always is. Thank you, of course, to all of you who've tuned in. Make sure that you are there in 1 week's time. It is sure to be a fantastic event. I've been James Kirk, and from all of us here, it is a very warm goodbye.